2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
How do I break my walls down and trust him again? Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers. We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
How do I break my walls down and trust him again?
All right, Brandon, another good one today. We got another couple. We always like having couples on the show. Before we even jump into this question, I just want to throw a plug into the people who've been coming on. You guys have been bringing awesome questions. We do have some slots open. So if you guys are listeners and you have questions come up, go to either lovestrong.com and submit a question there, or go to realtalkrecovery.com and submit a question there. And we'd love to have you come on the show and have real discussions with us as well.
Absolutely. All right, Tyler, you ready should we just dive in? I got a feeling that this topic we'll be able to talk long over 40 minutes or whatever. So I say we just fire away and we go at it.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So we got Jared and Caitlin here. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves a little bit. Now, I do got to say, we got them on as a couple, but Caitlin is our main guest here because she has the questions. And Jared is here to support. And she said if he talks too much, we need to shut him off. So we will. Yeah. So if you could give us a little background and then just ask us the questions that you have.
Yeah, so Jared and I have been married 11 years. We have 4 of the coolest kids around. They're really fun to hang out with. Jared has been a person struggling with an addiction to pornography since he was a child, right? Like I think
I honestly like
he
7 or 8.
Can't remember. So I knew about his addiction before we were married, and that's a whole other can of worms I think we could open up. But I really stick by the belief and knowledge that he has always been as honest as he could with the tools and knowledge that he had. So I really think he's done the best that he can. About, when was March? 7 months ago, we found Therapy Utah, and we've been doing the LIFT program. And I'm going to plug it for you, Brandon.
Please do.
I told someone the other day, if I could not afford it, I would sell my house and live in a tent so that we could keep doing it.
Oh my gosh, Caitlin.
Because it has impacted our lives that much. I actually sell plasma every week to help us out a little bit. Because we have a daughter who we have to pay for some therapy and tutoring too. So, it gets expensive, but I would cut off my right arm. Like it's made a big difference in our lives. So a couple weeks ago, Jared went to Brandon and Tyler's Rising Sun conference, and it was awesome. And he came home, and all of a sudden he's just like, not all of a sudden, I mean, I feel like he's been in recovery and working towards it for a while, but it really like gave him the push to step into his manhood and step into really like the man that I always knew he could be. Like he really stepped into that man that I saw 11 years ago when he told me about his struggles. And I really wanted to be happy for him. I really wanted, and I was, but I really just wanted to just mend that relationship just as a snap of my fingers and be ready to move on. And I wasn't. And I felt really frustrated, and I had a lot of resentment and a lot of frustration. So I guess, my question is, I've had these walls that I've built up over all these years of marriage as he's, struggled with his addiction and had relapses. And as we've tried different therapies that didn't work, and except for Lyft works. So how do I break down those walls and trust again in him and in our relationship and move forward?
Can I ask you, Caitlin, before we get into the answer to that, because there definitely is our answers. You say some resentment came up. So he comes home on fire, shifting his relationship with God, like just feeling good about himself. And you're like, yeah, like, okay, the man with fire under him a little bit. This is great. And it kind of pisses me off a little bit. Talk about that. Talk about that resentment.
I think it was just like, yeah, I'm happy for him, but like, where's my retreat? Like, I've been like struggling with betrayal all these years. Like I talk to women every day from my group who are angry and upset and going through like their own like terrible darknesses. And it's like, well, they're the one who did this. Why don't we get to heal?
Why don't I feel good?
Why don't I feel good? Like why I'm just stuck here, and it was frustrating.
Yeah. I can totally see why. You've been trying to heal. You've been kind of walking through the crap for a long time. And if he comes home and he's like, hey, I'm good. Like, let's connect. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
There's still this like, ugh, like, yeah, no, not yet. Now, why do you think that is? Why can't we snap fingers and all of a sudden, voila, like, boom, things are better. Things are good.
Oh, I think my body has learned to protect me. And so now it's putting up all these walls and putting up all these blocks in place, because it's like, nope, when he does this, like every time he's doing good, then it will relapse again, or something bad will happen, because recovery is just like a wave. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. And so I think sometimes when things are going good, I'm just like, like this, it's not going to end well. I just need to wait it out, because I can't trust that it's going to stay good.
Yep. Tyler, what do you think? Well, I mean, Caitlin, your answer to why it's hard to all of a sudden trust again is spot on. You've learned how to protect yourself, and for good reason, right? It's a survival mechanism. So what do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I just want to echo what you're saying, Brandon, and say to you, Caitlin, that I think it's totally normal to be in this spot you're in. It's funny, you're not the first wife since that men's retreat that has contacted us and said, where's my retreat? So yeah. We're actually working on that. We're going to get something going for you there. But I think your feelings are valid. And I want to ask you another couple of follow-up questions. The first one is in the way that you've protected yourself. I guess I just want to know what are those ways that you've protected yourself?
Okay. Sorry, you guys, I'm a mess. Denial. That was a big one for a really long time. It was like, hey, Kate, I need to talk to you. I relapsed, and then I didn't know what to do or how to hold on to it or how to handle it. because we couldn't find good therapy. So I would just be like, okay, let's move on, because I didn't want him falling into a shame. So I held in my feelings a lot. I held in my emotions a lot because, you know, if I got angry, then he'd go in that shame cycle and then he'd end up in another relapse. And so I really learned to hold on to my emotions and not communicate a lot. Let's see, what are my other defense mechanisms, Jared? I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, probably just lack of communication, lack of.
Yeah, I hide a lot when I'm in the fear cycle. I'm like, oh, the baby's tired, I'm gonna go rock with him, and then I'm rocking with the baby for an hour. So hiding is a big one for me.
Yep. So hiding, denial, pretending like it's not as bad as it is. Yes. You probably, and this, I'm just guessing, you probably do certain things to avoid certain vulnerable connections, push him away, maybe even start some drama, maybe not. But when it comes to things like sex and things like that, there's probably like, whoa, like intimacy, I'm going to kind of keep you at bay here. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Caitlin, but those are some walls that come up of, I don't want to connect with you in certain ways. I don't want to connect with you spiritually, sexually. I don't want to connect with you when it's out of love, out of fear, maybe, which isn't healthy. And so, okay, so let's come back to the question, like the question at hand. So I think, Caitlin, I really appreciate you talking about the resentment and talking about this feeling of like not feeling trust in the relationship, right? So how do you go from that to actually having real trust in the relationship? And there's a formula.
I think it's the B word.
A B word? What's the B word?
Boundaries.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's excellent. It's my favorite word. So yeah, there's a formula. Jared, go ahead.
Well, and consistency on my part, because I can't just arrive and be like, I'm here, I've made it, and then expect everything to be better. I've got to be consistent and empathetic for her. Okay.
So you just said two of the words to the formula. So there's three. There's honesty, empathy, and consistency over time. Okay. So that's not the full trust equation. That's your side of things, Jared. Okay. So and that is in play, your honesty, your empathy, and your consistency over time. No matter what she's doing, whether she's up, whether she's down, whether she's angry, whether she wants to connect, no matter where she's at, you stay steady. It's about steady in that honesty and that empathy. And you do that over time. Okay? So that's why all of a sudden go to this retreat, rah, 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 it feels great. And you're saying, Caitlin, you're saying, pump the brakes. We're missing that over time thing, right? And so but I said there's another side to this, and this is what can be really hard. Jared, you can work your recovery and you can become that man with integrity. So that man who has honesty and empathy and consistency, you can become that man. It doesn't mean that trust is going to get rebuilt in the relationship. There's another thing that has to happen. And do you guys know what it is?
I don't know where you're going.
I stumped you.
You did.
Let's see if the expert Tyler knows what it is. Let's put him on the spot.
Well, Brandon, you are putting me on the spot because I know whatever I'm going to say, you're going to be like, yeah, that's a good idea, but let me tell you the truth.
Well, when I say this, Tyler, take a stab at it.
All right. So you're saying that we've got the side of we need honesty, empathy, and
consistency.
And consistency over time is what builds trust.
Yeah.
The other thing that needs to be put in play here, which is the scary part, and this is the part that I heard Caitlin say that maybe has gone into the self-protection mode. It has not been present as much as vulnerability.
Yeah.
There needs to be the willingness to put some things into practice that are going to be risky. And
you're the
scary.
expert, Tyler. See, I'm not, there's no but here from me. You nailed it.
You're just making me feel good now.
No, But that's the hard part, isn't it, Tyler? Where the partner. So even when there's been betrayal over and over and over again, for good reason, the partner might say, "Nah, I'm done being vulnerable." Like it's great. But I know that if I take these risks down the road, it's going to blow up in my face. But trust, the way you build trust is to trust. I hate to say that, but so there's going to be some risk on your part, Caitlin. There's going to be facing some of these walls that you got up and tearing them down and taking some risk with Jared.
Brandon,
go ahead, Tyler.
Brandon, to go along with that, though, I think Caitlin brought up another element of the recipe that is vitally important, and that is boundaries. That you can't. I wouldn't expect, Caitlin, I wouldn't expect for you to have your husband come home and be like, "I am a changed man." Like, even if he is, which I hope you are, Jared, and I hope you're like putting these things into consistent action. I wouldn't expect you on that very first day to be like, "All right, full vulnerability, let's go. I'm all the way in." Like,
but don't confuse boundaries with walls.
But that's the key. That's the key here, Brandon, is that boundaries can still be flexible. So I am going to have to learn how to lean myself into those things. I'm going to have to open myself up to some of that risk. I'm going to have to be able to share my feelings again and get out of denial and do those things. And I can do those incrementally, as long as I'm leaning in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Instead of just like, yeah, most people think boundaries. They think of boundaries as walls. I actually think of boundaries as conditions for connection. So I'm offering the gate being open. If I'm being met with someone who's doing their work and who's showing up with humility and empathy and understanding, the gates are going to be swinging open. Yeah. That's the difference, where we think of boundaries as walls and like, nope, I'm going to keep everybody out. And Caitlin, I imagine that you're not the kind of person who wants to be in the place that you've been, where you're closed and you can't share your feelings and you feel like you're in denial.
No, but I also have to say, with all the love and respect for the way I grew up, like my closed off and lack of vulnerability is not completely 100% to do with Jared.
Yeah.
So I can't place all that blame on him. That's also we didn't communicate. That's just not how I grew up. I had a great childhood, but vulnerability just wasn't a thing. Yeah. And so, I don't want to sit here and blame him all of it, but you guys are right. So could a boundary with vulnerability be like I'm going to be vulnerable with you, but my boundary is that if he does not react in a honest and empathetic way, that I cannot take those emotions on myself, and that
okay, so I love getting into boundaries.
Trying to work through it.
Yeah.
So I mean, Tyler, you call it conditions for connection. I like that. I'd take it a step further, in that boundaries are vulnerability. So boundaries are connection. So a boundaried person is a person who's showing up authentic. And if I'm showing up authentic, you have a chance to actually connect to me. So Caitlin, if you show up authentic with Jared, the authentic you, the one that's not being driven by fear, might show up and say, look, I'll use sex as an example. Look, I can't have sex with you unless I feel safe. That's me. That's who I am. I'm not saying that because I'm trying to control you or control your addiction or this or that or any other reason. I'm just showing up as me. And you might want to divorce me because we're not having enough sex, because I'm not feeling safe enough. You go ahead and divorce me, but I'm going to be me. And I'm going to be honest with you about who I am and how I feel. And so that's not a wall. You might be doing the same thing, but what's behind it really matters. I love myself enough to be honest, and I love our relationship enough to be honest. So I'm going to be honest in our relationship, rather than trying to control the connection, control Jared, control the situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The example that you gave, Caitlin, earlier was exactly what Brandon's getting at. I held in my feelings to manage his feelings, is basically what you said. Mm-hmm. And what Brandon's saying is, maybe I have a bottom line for myself now, that I will no longer hide my feelings. I will share my feelings and set my boundaries accordingly.
Yeah.
And so if I then share my feelings, this is what Brandon's saying. Hey, Jared, I'm having a day where I'm like really frustrated. You haven't even done anything wrong, and I just kind of hate your guts right now. You know, you know, it's like, well, guess what you just did? This sounds backwards. You just offered Jared an opportunity at connection. He can now either take that, or he can go into shame and disappear and sulk away and be like, feel like he's no good and play small or get defensive, or he can say, geez, babe, I'm sorry you're having a rough day. I know that this is a rough process. I'm here. What do you need? The only way he gets to see that is because you actually open the door by sharing your feelings. And depending on his response, you'll set your boundaries accordingly.
Okay.
So if he shrinks away, then you go, hey, I just needed someone to talk to. If you're not there, I guess we can't talk. I'm going to go do self-care and call somebody else. And if he leans in, then you can continue to lean in and say, oh, this feels good to be able to place my burden down and let him hold it for a second. So yeah, that is the principle.
And that'll take a lot of trust, because in the past I did shrink away because I took everything she said on myself. But I need to just trust that she's not like, I suck at empathy and I'm working on it. We had a day the other day where it took me all day to reach like empathy, but I got there eventually. So I'm just saying that's going to take trust as well.
I set a boundary and he went for a drive and he came back and he was like, can I ask you more questions about that? And so
Good.
I told him more. And then he left again, and then he came back and he did it like 4 times.
Okay.
And then like finally by that night, he was like, okay. I
think I get it.
I thank you for sharing your feelings. But I think from now on, I'm going to be like, hey, Jerry, I'm going to give you an opportunity for connection right now. You're driving me crazy.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Yeah.
But I think one thing sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
Well, I do want to say this, which is, you know, Tyler's example is kind of funny, but, you know, you're driving me crazy. What I would say is try to speak vulnerably. So instead of you're driving me crazy, and that wasn't Tyler's example, but I hate your guts or whatever. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling hurt today. I'm feeling depressed.
That's more vulnerable.
What I think I need is space right now. Or what I think I need would be really helpful is a hug. Or what I could really use is if you just took the kids. Like, man, I just need a break from them. Right? So do you see the vulnerability?
Yeah.
Caitlin? So to open up on that level, not that kind of blaming level to Jared, but like, this is I. And Jared, you might come back. What if she says, look, I need space from the kids all night, and you have something planned that's really important and you can't take the kids, and then what do?
Well, I mean, probably drop everything if I can, but
let's say you can't.
Like, what if it's class? What if it's group?
Then I don't know. I feel like I don't know the right answer, but it's either I can't and I'm really sorry and I love you and I'm here for you, but I can't take the kids tonight. I honestly don't know, because I guess I have to show up true to myself as well.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at, right? Which is go ahead, Caitlin.
I think that he does know the answer, because he's trying really hard. He says he's not good at empathy, but I see his efforts, and that's what makes me want to break down my walls, right? As I see him in recovery. But like before, like I think things have happened when you've had class where you've said, all right, well, why don't you just turn a movie on for him, and then you try and just read a book or something, and then I will put them to bed once class is over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, but that's what I'm getting at is it's important. The trust equation is empathy and honesty, right? So it's not, empathy doesn't look like, when it comes to masculinity, it doesn't look like weakness and compliance. It's not, okay, yeah, whatever you say now, Caitlin, no matter what, I will automatically just do it. Jared, that would be you using her for your self-worth, trying to be good enough for her. So this place of love and trust that really happens is this place of I am connected to you and your pain. I hear you, and I'm going to do everything I can to be there for you. And I'm going to be honest with you about what works for me and what doesn't work for me. right? So really, we're talking about both of you coming to the table and saying, this is what works for me and what doesn't work for me. This is who I am as an individual. And with that empathy, I'm going to connect to you as an individual, but I'm not going to need you. I'm not going to use you for my okayness. So therefore, I can empathize. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's so easy, isn't it? Yeah.
But I think it's important to you've got to find another way to gain that for yourself, like through God or something like that, because for years I didn't have anywhere else except to steal that from Caitlin.
Yeah, I think Brannon brings up another point. This goes back to the V word, the vulnerability word here too, is that in order to be in the place Brannon's talking about, there's a risk. There's a real risk that if I show up as who I am, and this is what I'm okay with and not okay with, my partner might show up with who they are and what they're okay with and not okay with. And the fear is that maybe there's not enough overlap for us to even make it work. And that's where I think
there's a compatibility issue.
Yeah, that's where most of us are so afraid of that possible reality that we would rather live this slow relational death over 30 years of just not quite sharing our feelings and just trying to perform for the other person, or then getting resentful and pulling totally away. And so there is risk involved there. I actually believe that, like, let's take Brandon's example. You come and say, hey, I really need you to take the kids, and you're like, I got class. Like, there's a way to show the empathy and understanding. Hey, we're in a pickle. This is frustrating. I see that you're really needing some time, and I'm not going to be able to get rid of group. Let's brainstorm together how we might be able to get your emotional needs met, or let's figure out how we might be able to get the kids covered. I'm still in, and there's usually a lot more room where there's enough overlap where what I'm okay with and what my partner's okay with actually really does come together.
Yes.
But we have a hard time believing that because we live in a black and white world in our heads where it's either all or nothing. Mm-hmm. And so there is that risk there.
Yeah. No, I appreciate this example because I think sometimes I'm very I think ahead and I know what's coming next. And so I think a lot of times my lack of vulnerability comes from, oh, I'm not okay, but I know he has class. And so I can't do anything about it. And so
you're stuck.
I'm stuck. So then I don't reach out, but I appreciate okay, I guess not that I needed permission, but I never realized that was a struggle for me, that even if I know he has a meeting in 10 minutes for work, that's still a place for me to say, hey, I'm struggling and I know you can't do anything about it, but I'm feeling really sad or lonely or whatever.
Caitlin, you're not just taking it on yourself and being the martyr who's just you're no, this is where I'm at and I could use some self-care here. And it gives Jared a chance, right? It gives him a chance to show up and love you and care about you. And he may be able to help you in that moment. He may not, but at least, so there's a wall that's being removed there when you start to open up about your feelings and your needs and those type of things. And I would encourage you not to do that if he's an unsafe person who's lying to you, deceiving you, not empathetic. I would encourage you to emotionally and spiritually disconnect from him. But if you see signs of a man who's stepping into his masculinity, understanding who he is as a man with God, then I would encourage you to take those risks with him.
Mm-hmm.
So as Brandon's talking, Caitlin, I can imagine that there might be, if not through your head, some of the listeners listening who relate to this, they're probably thinking, so you're telling me, and help me make sure I'm not putting words in your mouth, Caitlin, but I imagine that over the 11 years you guys have been together, there's been a feeling that you've had to take on your shoulders most of the load. You've had to carry things, you've had to manage people's emotions, you've had to be the strong one. Is that true?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And so when you hear Brandon say something like he just did, there's a tendency to have something go through your head to say, but those have been my protection. And now you're telling me to put down my protections. And I've done things that have actually held our family together by taking this and shouldering the load and holding everything, maybe to my own detriment. and now you're telling me to let all of that go. Is there any of that going on for you right now?
A little bit. I think there's a little bit of like a displacement, like, okay, where do I fit? A little bit, like, you know, who am I without that? But I think that's what I'm trying to figure out. You know, I think that's what therapy's for.
If I stop shouldering the load all the way, if I actually let this man who's now trying to show up and take some of the load and who's willing to be engaged, which I've always wanted, if I let some of those things go, where does that put me?
Yeah.
That's the question. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair question. And I like your answer too, that part of that is, well, that's why I go to therapy, because I'm going to work on that. And I'm going to, you know.
Yeah.
So shifting gears just a little bit, I promised Caitlin we'd talk about masculinity, femininity a little bit, which is like my favorite topic. So I actually think this fits really, really well.
So Brandon, this is the part where I'm like Jared now. I just sit on the sideline and listen to you talk.
No, whatever. Yeah, you're a pro at this too.
Gonna go off.
Tyler's the most masculine man I've ever seen. So, no, but just to tie these together. So, Jared, you were talking a little bit about how you struggled to empathize with Caitlin in the past.
Yeah.
And there's this really kind of uncomfortable thing that I see happen with couples where they're operating in this really codependent relationship where they're trying to use each other for their okayness. So I need my partner to be okay. I need my partner to define who I am. I need my relationship to define who I am. And it's so common with sex addiction. It happens all the time. But what happens is when your partner is way too important, then they don't have any space for their pain and their emotions and things like that, right? And so Jared, you become terrified of her discomfort or her anguish or her feelings that you failed, right? So in that moment, your fight or flight kicks in, your shame screens all come out, your defensiveness comes out because it's like, oh, I can't handle her being uncomfortable. And Jared, you're laughing. Why?
It's just that's like our last 11 years together.
Yeah. And Eldridge does such a good job. Eldridge does such a good job at putting words and illustrating what's happening, in that the masculine is turning to the feminine and trying to get their masculinity there. They're trying to get their question answered. And the question is do I have what it takes? Am I enough? And so that they lack that masculinity. And what I mean by masculinity is that understanding of who they are, right? They lack that and they turn to their wife. And it makes it so that trust and safety cannot be in the relationship. It's not there. And so the feminine, think of the feminine like a flower that blossoms, like a flower that opens up and blossoms, right? The feminine doesn't want to open up and blossom in an unsafe environment. The feminine, a masculine man can hold space for the feminine to explore, to feel, to experience, to thrive. And the feminine is up and down and free flowing and creating. That's what the feminine is. And when the masculine is up and down and everywhere with the feminine, there's not that steadiness, there's not that safety. And a lot of times what happens is the feminine, when they don't feel that, they start to take on the role of the masculine in the relationship. Like, okay, I can't have any feelings, and he's lying all the time, he's acting out. So what I'm going to do is be the steady presence who makes sure that we have safety. And it just destroys the passion in the relationship. And it makes it so that the feminine doesn't want to take those risks in terms of taking those walls down and really feeling that polarity that's created between the masculine and the feminine. that creates that safety. So I am going off. Here I am. What do you guys think, what do you guys think about what I'm saying?
I think I just kind of, and I think this is why I asked this, I'm just kind of confused with like the femininity part of it, because like, can't I still be steady? Can't I still be strong? You know, I told Jared, like, you know, when we were talking about a women's retreat, I was like, I don't want to just go to a women's retreat. Like, I want to rappel down into a cave and get stuff against walls. Like, I want to do that too. And so it's like, you know, what does, I really just don't know what that means for me. Like, I don't really understand that side of it.
Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of look at it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with DBT at all. They talk about something called the wise mind, and the wise mind is this fusion of what they call the rational mind and the emotional mind. And there's like two circles. You've got rational and emotional, and you fuse them together, and where they overlap is what's called the wise mind. You could almost take masculine and feminine and create those two same circles and move them so that they're partially covering each other. And, you know, I actually happen to have a lot of feminine traits as a man. I think that's what you're saying. Like, I've been accused of being, you know, feminine before to a lot of other people, especially like my wife's uncles. Like, the fact that I want to like talk about my feelings and give them hugs has caused them to question me. You know, so and people would typically associate that with something more in the line of feminine, right? So we're not talking man and women, we're talking about these energies, right? So
Okay.
I, as a man, actually, if I'm being complete, I'm going to be in touch with some of those softer parts of myself, some of those creative parts of myself, some of that flowing part of myself. And yet I'm probably going to lean a little bit more towards the masculine side, which is what Brandon's talking about, is which, you know, that steadiness, that's, you know, stoicism almost. There's going to be elements of that. So I view that as more of a scale, right? So you don't need to be peg-holed, Caitlin, into being like, okay, now I'm just this like flowy, creative person.
So
Oh.
I think, yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
So Brandon, you can fill in the gaps here, but I just want to finish with one more thought. I think what Brandon's pointing out here is that, and I can attest to this just in my own relationship with my wife, is that when things weren't safe for her, when it wasn't okay for her to share her feelings, or it wasn't okay for her to express herself or show any of that creativity or be vulnerable, she did go further and further into like make things walls up, secure, stoicism. And when things started to become safe again for her, she didn't lose those personality traits. But what she did is she allowed herself to open even more completely into pursuing some of her other passions and dreams and sharing her feelings differently. It's changed everything with the way we communicate. It's changed everything in our sexual life, because she feels safer now to be able to express herself than she did before. Yeah. And so I think that's what I'm getting at. I don't know if that makes sense or not, Caitlin.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. I think we gotta be like, this masculinity and femininity conversation is so tainted by a lot of the messages out there. Like, you know, like what feminism is called, like that's not feminism, like true to the sense of what feminism is. And we also have this belief of like, it's like masculinity versus femininity, or, you know, which one's better. It's not that. You know, masculinity is grounded and steady and has roots that are strong. But you know, femininity, an attribute of femininity is like strength, in terms of, heck, I saw my wife give birth 4 times. Like, I ain't doing that. Endurance, pain tolerance, just strength, that's so important. So together, the masculinity loves femininity, and femininity loves masculinity. And together is that middle ground that Tyler's talking about. And in that middle place where the masculine's connecting to the feminine and vice versa, that's where creation happens. And that's where good sex happens. That's creation, right? But also creation in terms of encouraging each other in your purpose in life. encouraging each other to feel alive, to have adventure, to like when the masculine is steady and strong and the feminine is steady and strong, that's what starts to happen. And that's what I think we have, this innate instinctual thing about us to want to create that with our partner. And so that's the goal, but it requires being disconnected enough from our partner to be able to do that with our partner. So
I like
all right.
that.
We talked about it, Caitlin. We
What are your questions or thoughts, Caitlin?
No, I think definitely in my mind, and it's probably just because like I haven't been reading the book, but in my mind I was like, that makes no sense. Like, why would there be, like, why couldn't we both be steady and strong? And so that makes a lot of sense. And as you were talking, I do see like how I've naturally started to pursue some of my passions that I didn't in the past, that I didn't feel like I had time for, that I could handle emotionally. And so no, like it definitely, sorry, I'm just kind of processing it, but it definitely makes a lot of sense. It definitely, I understand it a lot more.
I think too, Jared, you coming to the conference, some pretty awesome things happened at the conference, in my opinion. And one of the most awesome things that I saw was really a part that were some things that you said. And what I hope, Jared, is you got a taste of what actual real masculinity is for you. And it doesn't surprise me one bit that might trigger Caitlin a little bit, like, oh, yikes, like some confidence and some healthy boundaries that he has with me, right? Like, so I don't know, Jared, I don't want to speak for you, but is that the case?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just thinking about the conference and thinking about the conversation we've had today, kind of have a lot of emotions going on right now. I have like a lot of, I feel really proud of myself for where I'm at and after the conference, and I finally did feel that manhood and the confidence for myself that came from not my wife, it came from God and from somewhere else. But it also like makes me mourn a little bit the last 11 years that I really did kind of consume you, Caitlin, and but it's also nice because I feel like that's okay. That's the past. You're a different person moving forward now. But I mean, the conference really did show me who I am and who I can be. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Jared. All right, Tyler, any last things?
No, just Caitlin, want to make sure that you've gotten your questions addressed, and if you have anything else, any last thoughts or feelings.
Yeah, I mean, this was awesome. I've been like asking my therapist, like I have like, so this was just kind of like the icing on the cake, like to help me a little more with kind of what I've been struggling with. And I think the crazy thing is that like as he's talking, I am like freaking proud of him. Like you know what I mean? Like I've seen him in the darkest moments, and so that's what's hard, is that I'm so proud of him, and I want that relationship. I want that good, strong relationship. And so then it sucks when those walls are up. But I'm going to work on these things. I really, vulnerability, risk. That's my goal.
Well, so okay, I just want to say this to kind of end. First off, I just want to tell you, Jared, you're a lucky man. So just realize that.
I agree.
Caitlin, you have things that are gonna serve you big time, and so now it's just a matter of letting the process take place. So here's some things that I noticed in you. You have self-reflection. When you said, I realized that a lot of this stuff came long before Jared was even around. That's huge that you're self-reflecting. You have positive regard toward Jared still, like you were just saying, like he's awesome. That's really helpful to have some positive regard going on for Jared right now. You have a willingness to do your own work. You love Lyft. I want to throw that out there one more time.
Awesome.
You have
say
And I do too. I do too.
I did not want to go at first. I was like, I do not need therapy. It's him. It's his thing. But I did need therapy.
And you're
therapy.
inconsistent, right? So you got the humility to do your own work, the consistency to do it, the positive regard, the willingness to look at where you're kind of tripping up here. Jared, your job now is not to be perfect. Bumps in the road will probably come. But when those bumps in the road come, it's reacting in a different way than you have in the past. It's staying steady in terms of your honesty and your willingness to work through the hard things. And that's how you build trust. And so you put those two things together, you guys are going to thrive. But it's a process. So allow it to take place and be grateful for the process of it. You're not going to get to a mountaintop and be like, hey, we've arrived, right? Work that process and you'll look back and you'll say, wow, things are so much better now.
I'm really glad you said that, because I think we tend to want everything to be better right now and not trust the process. But yeah.
You guys have all the makings for the success you want. I just add to what Brandon said about you, Caitlin. He basically just described the growth mindset, and you've got it. And because of that, growth mindset comes with vulnerability. So you already have that piece of the trust process too. So the fact that you're on the show illustrates that.
Well, I'm really trying to lean into my fear. That was actually I was like, I have a question. I'm going to ask it because this is a big fear of mine and I'm going to lean into it. So that is part of the reason I'm here.
You did it.
Yeah. Well, I want to say personally, thank you for your willingness to bring it and conquer that fear. I know for a fact, I'm thinking of specific clients I'm working with in my own head right now that are going to really benefit from this episode because of what you brought. So thank you. Yeah. And to our listeners, if you're listening to this and it's striking a nerve and you've got other questions, go to Real Talk Recovery and submit questions. We'd love to have you on and continue the conversation.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. Appreciate having you on. We'll see you later.
Okay, see ya.
Thanks, guys.